Start as an old man.
Hopefully that'll be the first thing anyway. Blah. All right. Let me click the go live on Instagram. Are we gonna work Instagram? Oh,
Maybe.
are we already live? I swear, Instagram. Hello, everyone watching. Bear with me just a second. Instagram is weird, and let me just make sure we're.
Technology. It's bad. We shouldn't be using it. It's gonna be my main driving theme today.
That is super interesting as someone that used to work sales. There's the go. All right.
Text
I
that,
guess it
yeah.
takes a second for like the go live. All right. And we're live. Okay. Now. Hello, my friends. Thank you for the little like tech stuff. Thank you for joining me. I'm Nicholas W. Fuller, host of Person Behind the Pages, the show where we get to know the creators that make the things we love. And I'm joined by Jonathan Weiss. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm doing great, man. I'm loving the theme music. I'm loving being on this
Right.
side of it as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Right? I love it. You
Awesome.
gotta start with a little jam, get excited, get ready. It's a good time.
Yeah, right.
It's a good time.
Hype up.
Right? There we go. There was a little bit like in the very first episodes where I had like, no, we don't want this looping. Thank you. The very first
Just play it for the
episode,
entire hour.
the whole no, that'd be too much. Too much. Who we got? Hello, Annie. Thank you for saying hi. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. So joined by Jonathan Weiss. In the thumbnail, I've got Australian. So I'm sure we're gonna hear a story of you running away from a large animal because that's just a thing with every Australian I have on. Full-time author. We definitely want to talk about that. You've got multiple books out. We're going to be talking about Molten Flux mostly, and the Flux Catastrophe series. Mad Max with magic. Love it. Who doesn't want more of that? And and you're into Warhammer 40K, you're into gaming, you're into bouldering. We're definitely going to be talking about all these things. I'm excited. Thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, awesome. Really happy to be here. I couldn't tell which side I need to slide to show off the Warhammer collection. That's just some of it there, but we can get into that later. But yeah, really excited to be joining you. I'll try keep my Australian accent moderate so people can understand me, but I can go heavier if you need me.
What's like what do you feel is the most like Australian like phrase that maybe
Oh,
people that aren't is it I mean because I feel like due to Steve Irwin like crocky is just
you had
iconic,
Steve Irwin, you got Bluey now as well. That's taking the world by storm. I think it's not
Bluey's
really a
amazing.
phrase, it's more just the way we interact with each other and saying
Yeah.
things like, yeah, nah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like, is that a positive or a negative? It's the problem is the yeah is the acknowledgement of the question, the nah
Yes,
is
yeah.
the answer,
No, it's
or
fine.
the nah is a negative acknowledgement, and the yeah is like a go on anyway kind of thing.
English is just confusing everywhere, right? Just
We've corrupted it.
everywhere.
We
Yeah.
shouldn't have been left alone with it. Anyway, I write books now. I use
Yeah.
that language. You have to put
Speaking
up
of,
with me.
that's funny. That's funny. Have you ever seen this like YouTube channel? It's called like How to Dad. It's by a guy in New Zealand.
Oh no, I haven't. When you said how to, I thought you were going to say how to basic, which was the guy who does just all that egg stuff. I think he's Australian as well.
Nice, nice. That How to Dad, he's really funny though. He again, New Zealand, but he does like right, here's
Same
how
thing.
how to like understand Australian, especially if you're American. We got some different things like sweet as. Yeah, that means good. That means he was it's the whole thing is just A plus. He was very good. Highly
Yeah,
recommend.
it's a whole dialect.
Right? Anyway, but enough about him. Let's get back to you. Let's talk books, man. So you've got 3 books out now, right? Tell me the titles and everything.
Yeah, 3, and then a 4th is coming. Hang on. See if I
Yep,
can hold
yep.
this up in release order.
Drum roll. Ta-da! Nice,
So from
nice.
top to bottom, that's what I've so far released, or I am about to release. Blazing Flux is coming, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's a hefty set of tomes.
yeah. That's some chunky boys there. Chunky. So which one was your first? Was it I think Molten Flux, right?
So yeah, the novella came out first, but
Oh,
like the
okay.
one I started writing first was the Hythera book. Like that was actually kind of the first incarnation of like the Droughtlands, which is the world it's set in. So all your Mad Max desert stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
really that first birth of that and exploring it through this like really twisted up Avatar: The Last Airbender type of plot, because I
Fun.
really wanted to explore this world where like everything had regressed to fantasy, but buried deep underneath it, there's this extinct sci-fi civilization. So all these artifacts and stuff that come out of it, they're practically like magic, and they're just so dangerous because no one understands them. So yeah, that was kind of the first thing. Like, or at least that plot line was the first thing I came out into the Droughtlands with, like 10 years ago when I started writing it. But then the first full novel I ended up publishing was Molten Flux, because it was ready sooner, because I still hadn't figured out the plot line for the Hythera one. And it was a really great starting point because it leaned much heavier into the Mad Max influence of things. Like, there's just so much scrap metal, there's so much vicious and brutal fighting and stuff like that. And yeah, I just wanted to have that be the first one.
And who doesn't like, vicious brutality, right?
Yeah, it's a staple in fantasy these days,
It's
to be
true.
honest with you. People are hungry for it.
Did what do you have that's better than the dude playing guitar like on the car with the flamethrower on the guitar,
Oh, well, nothing, because that's sick. That's awesome. Like, we'll get into the Warhammer talk later, but like one of the best like models I've seen someone custom built is that. Like, they
Oh,
built
wow.
that on tabletop. It's so awesome.
That's so cool.
I'd say the things that I have that's cooler is an entire walking fortress. So just a mound of scrap metal put on legs, giant cannon that's like got a bore of about 2 feet across. It's ridiculous. So I'd say that's my competition there.
Is that what you've got on the cover of Molten Flux?
Oh yeah, I'll show you.
That's our giant, walking fortress. I love it. I love it.
Really fun
So
describing
cool.
cover designer. That's K Francis Art on Instagram, if I can give him a plug. But yeah, he was really on board with kind of the big idea and the big post-apocalyptic themes, and he's just been making these masterworks for me since.
That's super cool. Yeah. You said it's 2 foot like a diameter bore on the gun?
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous shell. It's just silly, to be honest with you.
So,
it's unnecessary. It just looks cool.
Fun fact: in the city I live in, there's a World War II battleship that's kind of near the downtown. There's a river, and it's at the downtown, and it's like a museum now. The World War II ships, the biggest ones on like World War II ships, or at least American, and I think everywhere, are 16-inch deck guns. So not 24, not 2 foot, 16-inch. They're big. They also have 5-inch deck guns, which are much more standard. The 16-inch aside, which is much more powerful and longer range, the 5-inch can shoot my home from where it is on like docked downtown on the other side of the city. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? You
think
like
2 foot gun's a short range gun for it, though. It's just shooting a giant bomb. It's more of like a catapult launcher than an actual cannon. So it's just silly.
That's delightful. That's delightful. Kind of getting a little like Twisted Metal vibes. You ever play like Twisted Metal?
Totally,
Vigilante? Man. Yeah.
It's awesome
Bert.
stuff there.
Good evening, Bert. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you, bud.
How you doing?
Bert is one of the new Hype Squad members over on the Page Turners Discord. So, right?
Yeah, we gotta acknowledge that.
Yep. If you're not already on the Page Turners Discord, you gotta go check that out. Link
yeah,
in the
it's
description.
Awesome. Plenty of awesome people on there.
Absolutely. So we're talking about Molten Flux and the Flux Catastrophe now, but also your other series it's in the same universe, is it?
Yeah. So
nice.
The other series with all the Hythera stuff, it's set 30 years after the Flux Catastrophe. So there's events you'll see in either series that will relate to each other. And this is kind of the fun thing that I've been doing with writing and releasing books in alternate order as I go through these two series, is that I can have all these Easter eggs and callbacks and call forwards to each other, all this foreshadowing and stuff between them. So if you're reading the books in the order that I've released them, you'll see things which I won't spoil, but like you'll read a particular word or see a particular character again, you wonder what happened to them in the last book or what's going to happen to them in the next book, or it'll tip you off to like some other Easter egg. And like the reason I'm doing that, I'd say as an author first, like the high-minded reason I'm doing that is because I think it's a really cool way to tell a story.
Right. It's friggin' rad. That's why you're doing it, of course.
Oh yeah, well, they're totally right. But yeah, the actual reason I'm doing it is because I was actually working on Molten Flux and the Hythera Redux on and off with each other for the past couple of years before I actually kind of took the jump into being a full-time author. So yeah, by the time I was there, they were both pretty much ready to go. And it seemed like a waste to try and sit on one while finishing out the other series.
Sure.
Because yeah, I don't know, I just want to get stuff out there. So it's really funny because the novella Rising Flux, that was written after both of those two novels. So there's almost callbacks in there to the novels that came after them. It's time shenanigans, right? It's fun.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, with Molten Flux, again, like kind of the pitch is like Mad Max with magic. How, like, tell me a little bit about the magic system, because like there must be some cool magic to make it actually like worthwhile in a universe where there's walking fortresses that have giant bomb throwing cannons,
Yeah, that's it. And like, I think when I was first designing the world, I almost took like a video game design approach to it. I didn't want magic to be like this kind of unbalanced thing where anyone could just do it and have it be done with essentially just solve all the problems like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's limited to being able to find water, which again is hard in a desert. But as you'd find in the Hythera books, all the water's essentially been locked in the sky. You can hydrate yourself by breathing, but you can't get liquid water. And you need that liquid water to make these inks that you turn into runes that you put on your arm. And then those are one-use things that you can use to do magic. And depending on like the color of someone's eye, so you'd have green if they kind of control machines and metals and the magnetism within, blue if they're controlling air and wind, and yellow if they're controlling like fire and light. That changes what those runes mean for them. That changes what those runes do. So a lot of the focus of Molten Flux and the Flux Catastrophe comes to those people who can control machines and control metal, right? So they're called cretatics. Essentially, they're assembling hunks of scrap metal into things called arcanites, which is just what they control, what they call the contraptions. And to keep those things moving and functioning, they need to dedicate a portion of their mind to it as well. So there's only so much kind of metal you can control at once. At least that's what they thought. They found this substance called Molten Flux. It's like a self-replicating liquid metal. They found that from underneath the ground in the ruins of, one of those buried skyscrapers, one of those sci-fi civilization things. And they found if you put that into a dead body, it sort of comes back to life. And you can sort of use that thing's mind to control your machines.
Whoa.
So you see kind of the bigger problems that start to arise here is that if you want to have a bigger machine, you're going to need to find a lot of dead bodies.
Wow.
And what do you do when you run out of those? And as grim as that sounds, that's something that's actually happened in the world. Like in 1830s Edinburgh, the medical societies were pretty much paying people to grave rob and corpse pinch. Like anytime someone was hanged, there was just a bunch of people waiting there to grab the corpse and take it to the student doctors so they could study the medical innards of people because they'd never done that before. And so you actually have these stories about people owning inns and workhouses where people just went missing, and that's where they ended up. So it's not like I'm sick. I didn't make that up all by myself. It's already happened.
Yeah.
So I can't claim all the credit.
Yeah, no. We can always, as authors, draw from history whenever we need something grotesque. That's for sure.
It's always there.
I heard a story. So here's one for you. The in like ancient Mesopotamia, way back, there was a ruler, and he had a judge, and the judge committed like corruption. He sold an innocent verdict, right? The ruler heard of this, and he had that dude killed and then skinned. And because the guy, he said he'd give you one wish to the former judge. He said, I'd like my son to have the job. He says, cool, kill you, skin you, upholster your judge chair with your skin, and your son's gonna sit in it now.
Damn.
What?
That's crazy.
Right? I mean, that's, yeah, like, feels like something out of Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very clear message.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yes. You're not gonna forget
Wow.
that one. Gross. Anyway, but yeah, Molten Flux. So that sounds pretty cool. So there must be some of that magic to build that giant like walking fortress that we're talking about. I can imagine that there must be multiple bodies in there now. That's super interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
so I mean that's the fun thing about the Walking Fortress. No one actually knows who's controlling it. It's just kind of always been there, and they've just
oh wow.
started chucking extra scrap metal onto it. So it's not known whether the Walking Fortress is actually controlled by a bunch of corpses or not. But the people who are aboard it, the mercenary crew, they're trying to fight and stamp out the people who are making all these corpses, and trying to feed this kind of molten flux fueled economic machine. The only problem is there's a mutiny brewing from within there of people who do want to flip sides. So that's kind of where the main plot point of the book comes in, just that stopping that mutiny. And
All
it goes about as well as you can expect, right?
right. Spoilers. That sounds pretty cool. That sounds yeah, awesome. I didn't know that I just needed Mad Max with magic in my life, but now this sounds fun. You mentioned, I
There's
think,
so
like
many extra layers to it. Yeah, I just have to resort to saying Mad Max with magic because, like, it's a whole thing, right?
yeah, yeah. Uh, so there's water, and you kind of get the water, and then you convert that into runes. Did you say something or like, is it like ink, and then they sort of write it down?
Yeah, so like you're putting it as like little runes on your arm, and then you use that. So they're all one use only. So like anytime you're
So
trying
is
to do
it's
an
like
act of
kind of like
magic,
I'm imagining it like tattoos.
yeah, kind of looks like that. But yeah, like they slide up your arm into your hand, and then you use them like that. But yeah, it's a
Wow.
limited thing. So like anytime you do it, you're doing it. You really need to mean it, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, you're wasting it.
So are they able to like kind of like save up like some of these runes on them, and then they kind of like slide down when they need them?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you see someone covered in tattoos, you know that
Yeah, you're
person means
screwed.
business. Yeah. Right.
Leave them alone, right?
Yeah. No, no, no. We're cool. We're cool. We're cool. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's okay.
That's neat. That's like that's kind of that's pretty fun. I love that world building element.
Yeah,
That's a
awesome.
pretty unique magic system there. That sounds really cool,
Yeah, thanks, man.
man. All right. All right. I like the way you're kind of you're pitching the book, man. This is good. You're getting me into it. I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
I worked in sales. I'm used to this. It's all the same thing at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, true, true.
It's storytelling. That's the good-natured answer to that question.
Yeah, yeah, yep. That's what people respond to, but that's why we
Yeah,
like writing stories.
that's it.
Um, all right. Well, you know, sold me on them. Just ordered. Hey, awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bert. Hope you
That's
like
awesome.
them.
Thanks, Bert.
So, and Annie too. I'm so excited to read this now. It's yay.
I'm a natural. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah,
so
you're
much.
good. You're good. That's awesome. Good to
Oh
hear,
wow.
guys. That's good. All right. So, we've been talking about Molten Flux in that series, but yeah. So you put out Molten Flux, and then you put out the Hethero Redux, right?
Ithero Redux, yeah.
Hythera
Yeah, so
Redux.
that's the problem with fantasy, right? You just got to chuck yourself at those words. I do put a glossary at the back of the books, and that does have a pronunciation guide, just because like I always find myself wanting that in other books.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, like, aside, I'm reading a little bit of Adrian M. Gibson's Mushroom Blues, and it's really good.
Nice.
But also, like, I gotta need to like go look up a bunch of like just mushroom terminology.
Yeah, that's it. I love
But
how in depth he is with that stuff, though. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
awesome.
yes, agreed. It's a vibe. It's pretty cool. Um, so that's sick. So how like just tell me a little bit about the story of the Hythera Redux.
Yeah, so that is about the fourth people who are actually the ones responsible for blocking all the water in the air. So that's the Hythera people. They have red eyes, which is fun and distinctive. But as far as anyone in the Droughtlands knows, they're extinct. It has been like that for like 1,000 years. No one really remembers anything of them
Mm-hmm.
until a boy named Spirit. At least he thinks that's what he's called because all his memories have been stolen. He appears in
Oh
this
wow.
set of ruins where he's found by this exiled old scholar, and they go on this journey to try and figure out his memories and potentially try to bring rain back to the Droughtlands. But as Spirit gets those memories back, he starts to understand why the High Pharaoh fell and why they shouldn't bring back rain, like the sheer power of having that much water and what it could bring. And he's kind of two minds of doing it. And this is all the time while there's other forces out in the world trying to essentially exterminate him, seeing him as a threat to the kind of balance of the land.
Wow. Wow. Wild. So, and this
Yeah.
this is all taking place like 30 years in the future from Molten Flux.
Yeah, so like largely unrelated, but like
Okay.
if you have like having an idea of like what the world of Molten Flux is and what those themes are of like this kind of rampant control and rampant like power grabbing that kind of came from Molten Flux and
Hmm.
what people could do there, you get that kind of same kind of idea with Spirit as he kind of tries to figure out if he should bring back rain as well.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I imagine bring back rain. That's great. Um. Um. So at this point in the world, are we still kind of, is the giant walking fortress still around and that sort of thing, or is like has some of that sort of like been diminished?
It's gone.
Gone.
Bad. Not. I mean, again, like I said before, like you can kind of get an idea of like, yeah, things aren't going to go well, right?
Yes. Yes.
And the next book I have coming up for release, Blazing Flux, which is the
Hmm.
follow-up to Molten Flux,
Hmm.
that will kind of illustrate exactly how bad things have gone and how bad things are going to get as well for a
That's
time,
exciting.
unless they can figure out how to clean it up. Like I took a lot of inspiration from the Chernobyl cleanup. That
Oh,
again, another
jeez.
thing that actually happened as well. So there's a lot of that kind of embedded in there.
I love that you're kind of incorporating these like historical elements, but like also just like, ugh, we suck.
Yeah, right. At least the Chernobyl one was kind of an accident.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
was that was
True.
screwed up.
True. Fair, fair, fair.
Yeah.
Annie says that she's kind of getting Tank Girl vibes from the way you're describing this, which I think is cool. So cool. Right?
Yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Um, awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about kind of your writing process and like, first of all, have you always wanted to be a writer since you were like very young, or was it like, kind of, maybe like during the pandemic you were like, I'm sick
Could
of
do it. Yeah.
doing a 9 to 5, or how did you kind of come into writing?
I'd say it's a combination of the two. Like I think I've always been a bit of a daydreamer and like kind of head in the clouds kind of storyteller, right? I initially was trying to get into stop motion animation because
Oh,
Wallace and
fun.
Gromit was my entire childhood. Um, and then like it turns out that's very time consuming to produce not a huge amount of stuff, right? Like having to
Yeah.
take like 20 pictures and you're like, cool, that's 1 second of footage. It's kind
Right.
of frustrating.
Right.
I only got into writing when I was about 16 or 17. And
So you
that
were doing
wasn't
the
even
stop
with the
motion
Drought
before
stuff.
that?
Yeah, exactly. Like I was doing it as a 10-year-old and, it looked
Wow.
cool, but yeah, it's hard. And especially, with a 10-year-old's patience, it's hard to stick
Right?
to it.
Can I tell you, I have a 10-year-old, and like, granted, he has
Yeah.
ADHD, but there is not a chance he would do that. You know what I mean? No
It,
way. That's super cool that you were doing it at that age. That's neat.
yeah, I didn't. It's funny because I actually do have ADHD, and it was only because of the fact that like I got really hyper fixated on it, and then like
Yeah,
if I
okay.
wasn't in that hyper fixated phase, I just didn't care
You're
for it.
like bored.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, when I started writing, that was the only thing that really didn't kind of fade as a fixation. It was something that I really felt in my core, and kept doing and practicing, and trying to,
Nice.
I guess, write good books. And like, so yeah, I started at 16, and I didn't really stumble onto the Droughtlands or even the concept of it until I was about 20 or 21. And even then, like, it didn't seem like a career. It didn't seem like something where I could think, yeah, this is actually going to get published. I'm actually going to be able to put this out into the world. Um, I was, working through tech sales and stuff from about 2017 to about 2022. Pandemic was very fun for all of us. Lots of time inside. I got a lot of writing done, but whew. Anyway, I won't talk about that because it's one of these things, right? Like it
Yeah.
is a side note. I'm really glad there hasn't been that much like media or TV shows or movies made about, oh geez, the pandemic was hard, wasn't it? Because I mean we just did it. It's still going. I'm sick of hearing about it, right?
Right.
Anyway, uh, I ended up quitting my job in the tail end of 2022 because I'd gotten headhunted into another role and I thought it was good. And then it turned out to not be a good fit. So I just
Mm,
went, I better get out. There was a couple other kind of big life events that I was going through or about to go through as well. So I just kind of wanted more time to do that. I got married just after that as well, which was very fun.
hey.
Woo!
Congrats.
Check
Congrats.
the ring. So yeah, don't come after me. I'm not available. Um, and then
You hear that, bro? No, just kidding.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I only really discovered self-publishing after that, like really in the tail end of 2022, and it seemed like the right thing. Like once you read through Molten Flux, you'll see all these themes about control, autonomy, and self kind of control and being able to control your own actions. And when I looked at traditional publishing, it was something where you just kind of put your stuff out into the world and then it's gone. Like if it doesn't sell, then you're kind of out of luck, right? So yeah, self-publishing was kind of the way for me, being able to control what goes on the cover, what goes in the guts of it. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been trying to churn out a book every 4 or 5 months ever since then. And geez, it's a lot of writing, I'll tell you what.
Yes. Yes. Stick around, Bo.
I'm
And
sorry,
Ryan just
Bo.
joined. Bo and Ryan, we're talking with Jonathan Weiss, and he's the author of Molten Flux, and we already kind of, talked a few people into picking it up. So now peer pressure.
Yeah, just rewind by about 10-15 minutes. Watch that again.
Right?
Do me a favor.
Dang, yeah, trying for...
Yeah, well, look, Ryan, I'd kind of credit that to the fun thing about tech sales is you make a lot of money very quickly because especially in the pandemic, everyone's looking to buy work from home kind of tech. So that was great for my commissions. So I've been able to really take a year off and just focus on this. And especially through 2023, I wasn't really too great at marketing. I wasn't putting too much time into that. I was just trying to churn out books. So I was writing about 3,000 words a day when I was in the first draft phase, maybe 4 or 5 if I'm running hot. But yeah, I've discovered that A, it's hard, and B, giving the ideas time to evolve and breathe, it's really hard to do that as well. So I had to slow down a little bit for that.
Yeah. I feel the giving time to breathe. Not that I'm a fast writer, because I'm not. I am a super not fast writer, but honestly, like, I mean, I hear what you're saying about you didn't spend a lot of time in marketing, but I think that's kind of a good approach. I've heard from a business manager of a very successful author, and she's like, she advised me and has advised other people, don't even worry about marketing your book until you have 3 out.
Yeah.
It's not even, and it's I think it's reasonable advice. I'm choosing not to take it, but I still think it's reasonable advice.
Like you might like be able to start hot, and like that'd be awesome. Because I was going to say, like, the other thing about kind of being full time is it's lonely, like trying to churn out all these books without kind of the validation from the outside. That's tough.
How nice is it to now be part of the break-ins? When did you join the break-ins?
I saw some of what did I see? Yeah, it was like started January. I think I saw some of Rob's posts, like tagging the break-ins, and I went, "Oh, hey, Rob, I'd liked a couple of his posts. We hadn't really talked much, but I went, what's this break-ins thing? Can I be a part of it? Can we be friends?" And yeah, very thankfully we could be, because I think I came in as like member number 13, and like shortly after that, we just decided, like, there's too many people. We gotta close the doors for like, as much as we didn't want to, but like it would kind of deviate. It would just come one big Discord server again. And so, like it's a really good tight knit group of people. And like, it's really nice being in a group of people all in a similar kind of phase, including yourself, right? Where like either you just kind of put out your first book or two, or like you're about to.
Right.
Which is just as important, right? Like, it's just as scary.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah, so if anyone's watching and you haven't heard of the Break-ins, it's just a little group of like 16 debut-ish authors, and we're both happen to be a part of this group, and it's just nice to like be able to talk with other folks that are kind of in the same phase of the process and help each other out. There's also little news break. There's going to be a giveaway here soon, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a one.
Yeah.
Should we talk about that, or can we save it for later? We can save it for later. People have to keep watching.
All right.
You got to stay on
for later. We'll save it for later. Good. You are in sales, weren't you? Yeah. Definitely nice to talk with other folks going through the same thing. Doing the debut business is hard. Ryan, absolutely. Wait, where is it? There we go. Definitely when you have 6, that makes you a pro marketer for sure. But yeah, so So you you quit the day job and you're like, I'm gonna write. Had you when you decided to? Okay, I don't know exactly how old you are now, but clearly you're not 16 anymore. So you were writing when you were
Oh,
like
finally.
16, right? I think Caden's still the youngest of the break-ins, but
Right.
uh, uh, you were writing when you were 16. I'm assuming that you were still kind of like doing some writing here and there throughout other years, but like when you quit the job, like where were you at in the sort of production of your first book?
Yeah. So I quit the job. I had, so I'm 29 now, for context. I quit the job 2 years ago, so it would make me about 27.
Hmm.
I was onto the second or third draft of Molten Flux,
Okay, okay,
and I had probably about the first two-thirds of the first draft of the High Theory Redux because I finally figured out how to make the plot stick. That's a whole other story. But
yeah,
yeah, that so I was about there. I didn't have Rising Flux written. I wrote that in November of 2022 over the course of about 4 or 5 writing days, which was great. It showed me that I could keep up the
nice,
pace.
nice.
And then I started writing Blazing Flux probably about the first third of 2023.
Nice.
And yeah, just getting that done as first draft was really tough because it ended up being like 125,000 words. I told myself, look, I'm going to write like 90,000 word books tops because otherwise I won't be able to produce them fast enough. I won't be able to edit them fast enough.
Yeah.
Screw that up. The next Hythero book that I'm working on now, that's already at 100 and it's still going. So look, I don't know. My advice to you guys, if you're trying to do this, write shorter books. For the love of all that's holy, stop like making yourself edit these enormous tomes. Like I don't know how like guys like Ryan Carhill do it. You got to dream through that sort of thing. Um,
I would love to hear your thought on,
yeah,
and anyone in chat too. I'm sure you guys have opinions on sort of the rise of novellas because it seems like novellas are becoming more and more popular and widespread. And it seems like so many people are kind of doing novellas. And certainly, like I feel, a shorter word count, you're going to end up with shorter, like fewer moving parts. So it might be kind of easier to execute, at least for some writers. I know others that are like, I can't do anything under, a bazillion words, but
yeah.
uh,
I can see Ryan in there saying he's up to 300K at the moment. The poor guy.
right.
Oh.
I think that one's
Yeah,
a
no, that's
joke,
a really good.
but
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think you're seeing a lot of novellas in the indie space just because that's a lot of what we use as our kind of reader magnet to get people to sign up to our mailing list. So, it's a nice little taste of the world. And, I guess that's what I wrote Rising Flux to be. Uh, I think that for novellas, you really need to make that a mainline thing for you. You need to really commit to that. Like you
right.
need to be pumping out like one every 2 months almost, or
Oh
you
wow.
need to have a backlog of a lot of novellas. People need to understand you as a novella author,
Hmm.
um, which is fine. That's good. Like people can do it. I think there's the guys of the Two Indie Authors podcast as well. If you don't mind the slight cross promote, one of
No,
them
yeah,
is
go for it. Go
focusing
for
on
it.
doing a lot of novellas there. They're great. Like that's how I learned to self publish, to be honest with you.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I think having that as a focus is really tough. But I'm loving that as kind of both the free little taste we can give out to people, and also extra things we can add to the world. Because if you're going through a traditional publisher, you wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to do those things. Like you don't see traditional publishers putting out novellas because it's not worth their time, but it can be worth
Sure.
ours.
Yeah. 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 No, I definitely see their value as a marketing tool, but it feels like they're sometimes being used even beyond that. Like I've
Mm,
seen some people kind of throwing in novellas in between like larger books, which I think is an interesting way to kind of keep momentum. Uh, Bert and Bo, if you guys are still in chat, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I know you guys read a ton. What do you
mm.
guys think about it? He has reviewers too. What do you guys think of novellas?
Yeah, you've probably
But
been through quite a few.
let's see. If done right or fine, feels like everyone is trying to copy.
Yeah, that the
This
Ryan
is a
Cahill model's crazy. Like, especially because his novels, his novellas are pretty much novels themselves. Like those things are running about 50K words.
yeah. Okay.
I was initially going to try and do that with the Flux series. I was going to try and get like the sequels for Rising Flux as little novellas in between each book. But then I realized I still have so much other writing to do. So it's stuff I hope to come back to, but I don't think it's something that is really sustainable unless like you have got that big following who does want to commit to those extra novellas.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, cool. All right. So, they can. I want to hear this one too. Like novellas can be a nice palate cleanser in a series. Yeah, that makes sense. That
Yeah,
makes
it's
a lot of sense,
like a
actually.
little extra taste, you know.
I haven't really thought about using like a novella as a palate cleanser. That's a good. You could kind of like turn down the intensity on something, or like that's yeah. And I'm okay with
Yeah,
novellas in between books. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
nice.
All right. Have you read This is not here nor there, but have you read Legends and Lattes?
Oh, I haven't, to be honest with you. Like, I keep seeing all this, really kind of good action around it, but I've never got around to it. So that's my bad.
If you ever need a palate cleanser read between like heavy or books, that's a good one to go.
Yeah, definitely would be. Nice.
Yeah. Pad your
My
book
Rising
red
Flux
style
is
train.
listed. You're okay.
Yep, there you go.
Oh man, like, look, I'll tell you what. I don't know if anyone's like, for the people who are authors here, dealing with Goodreads is just wild. Like,
Right.
just having to like the initial startup is almost a catch-22 of like trying to say, I'm an author, I have a book, but you can't put that book on yourself. You have to get someone else to do it, and finding that other person is so hard. Anyway, I'll leave that digression aside. But yeah, Goodreads is wild.
Goodreads is wild. Holy cow, bro! We've been talking for 36 minutes. That was good. This
Yeah,
is
it's
fun,
been quick.
right? I guess it's because you have a bunch of books to talk about.
I talk real fast too. That helps
Yeah,
too.
right. Okay. All right. So we've talked about your different books. Everyone should go buy them if you haven't already. We've talked about um, you're a full-time author now. I want to dive into that a little bit. And I know that I asked you beforehand how you comfortable you were talking about that. And you said, cool. So, being an indie author is hard. If you're out there and you're watching and you don't know this already, being an indie author, like everything is on you, which is great. We get to kind of create our own covers and that sort of thing, but that means that we need to go pay for a cover. We need to go pay for an editor. If we want to pay for any kind of promotion, that comes out of our pocket. Not to mention, like if you want to go to any classes, writing classes or writing workshops, that comes out of your pocket. You want to do any kind of like book tour, go to different bookshops, that comes out of our pocket, right? Which again, like I think as indies, we all love the freedom and the control that we have, but there's a big expense. So that means like you're coming into your book launch in the hole. You're coming into your book launch having lost money.
Mm.
So, first question, Jonathan, have you made up what no? Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's one of the troubles of like a rapid release thing, especially with the way I'm doing all the covers and stuff. So, again, for people not in the know, obviously paying for covers, you can either go to a service that does pre-made covers, or you can actually go to a full-scale artist, right? And I've been doing that. Again, shout out to kfrancis.art on Instagram. Awesome post-apocalyptic work if you want sci-fi stuff, and just awesome dude to work with. But yeah, like those are costly covers because you are paying for someone's time, you are paying for someone's skills, and you're paying for a lot of back and forth between you and them. And I think that between that, the editing as well, like I don't think I'm going to be out of the hole for a good long time. And it's only because I've had a pretty good cushion of savings to sit on that I've been able to do this for as long as I have. I'd say the other major cost is time and energy. So not only are you paying for your own covers, not only are you doing paying for editing and stuff, you got to figure out where those people are. You got to figure out who's good. You got to learn how to do all that stuff and format it. Like I was pulling my hair out trying to figure out how to format the cover for Ingram, the kind of one of the big paperback distributors, trying to figure out how to make that work. That was really tough. So yeah, like if you're coming into this, just make sure you've set aside a lot of time and energy to learn about how to do that. But also don't be afraid to get it wrong and break things a little bit, because it's going to happen. You can fix it later.
Right. Absolutely. Bo says, don't feel bad. 401k on pretty books. Yep.
They'll appreciate and value.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's my prettiest book. It's the Threadlight Omnibus, and it wasn't cheap, but
Gorgeous.
I love it. Right?
Gorgeous. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing a Kickstarter for like the Molten Flux series once I get it finished, just with like full foils and stuff for like all that. And like I just want the top Kickstarter tier to be like a one-off. You get a metal backed cover, like it's full metal shell.
That would
for
be
all three
so
books. That would
cool.
be awesome.
That'd be rad. Have you seen there's some I can't remember who it is, but there's an author on Twitter that like she said if this post gets 500 likes, she's gonna like auction off a handwritten chapter one of her books.
Oh, that's so
Right?
good. Except the fact you really don't want my handwriting. It's garbage.
Yeah, same. I can't do it. Maybe like I'd have to do like I'll give you the first scene and I'll do it in calligraphy because I could actually like
Oh,
if I
that'd be
really
cool.
sit down and like I could do that. But anyway, that
That'd
would
be
take
awesome.
so long to do though.
Yeah, that's a commit. There better be money in that.
Right. Uh,
Yeah.
that's fun. Yeah, Bert says it's Quimby. That's the author that I'm talking about. So
Ah, right. Yeah,
shout
awesome.
out
Just
Quimby.
thought that was a random series of keyboard mashes.
No, that's the author's name.
I'll look them up.
Um, yeah. So Jonathan, how much longer is your runway? How much like how much have you are you able to kind of keep doing it, with the status quo?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Like, it's like I can still go for like another year or two if I was going to burn down all my
Bro,
savings.
you sold a lot of software, didn't you?
Yeah, so I don't think I'll do that though, because I think one of the things I've discovered about writing full time is I'm inside a lot. I'm not leaving the house very much. I'm turning into a weird recluse, and that probably shouldn't happen. So yeah, I'm looking at just getting like another part-time job, or even a lighter full-time job, so I can ride around that as well. It will mean that I have to slow production a little bit, but I think that having the time off to really get all the foundations in place, get a website up and running, a mailing list up and running, social media things up and running, and just learning how to write properly at that pace, that's really important. And I feel like that's the tools I needed to be able to build for myself to actually go back into an actual job and start bringing in money there. The way I see it is like having an actual income again means that like I'll just be able to throw ridiculous amounts of money at like social media marketing, covers, special editions, stuff like that, stuff that'll get the
Yeah.
buzz going again as well, or
I think that's yeah.
even more.
Right. No, that sounds cool. Again, like I think you're in a great position though, where you've got all these books that you've written, and now you can kind of spend more time kind of going marketing and kind of you have a little bit slower pace, moving forward. But you'll be the Flux Catastrophe is a planned trilogy, I think, right?
Yeah, so I just have to write the last book, and then that's a finished series. So I know a lot of
Yeah.
people love reading finished series, but I'm getting there, I promise.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, that's good stuff. Yeah. No, you're in a good place. I think things are gonna be good.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man.
I hear you though about not getting outside. I've been working from home since like 2017.
Wow.
Right?
So you
Yeah.
were ready when it happened. It was status quo for you.
Yeah, I was also kind of doing like a software sales adjacent thing that helped people work from home too. So
Nice.
yeah. Wouldn't have wanted the pandemic to happen, but was in a good position when it did. So, um, but yeah, I feel you. There are days when, like, there are some really, really bad days where the only time I get out is when I'm like walking my dog. I'm like,
Mm.
this is not good. But I'm sure you. Let's get into talking about you, Jonathan. You do some bouldering. You can't be doing that in the house.
Yeah. I mean, I could. I have seen people get these really cool setups in the garage where like they just put up a big sheet of plywood, plug the holes into that, and start climbing the house. But I'm not there yet. I'm not that good.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, bouldering is where I get to put on funny little colored shoes. I go to a big warehouse where it's either very hot or very cold, and I climb walls and fall off them without a rope. So I've been doing that for about a year. I think I
You
started this time last year, and I really fell in love with it because it's a sport where you're not keeping track of your reps. You're not trying to memorize all these really complicated exercises. It's more down to kind of the muscle memory and how you work out the puzzles. And yeah, third thing is the puzzle solving kind of sport as well. And yeah, I've been going for about 3 times a week, and yeah, I felt a lot stronger from it. I've integrated that a bit into the books as well. There's a bit of climbing in there too. So I'm not going to, voice the technical terms on you from the books, but you might see it a little bit. There was actually a scene I had to delete from Blazing Flux because it just went too far into it. It was like half a chapter's worth of just climbing up a thing, which was just silly. It didn't need to be there, but it was fun to write.
I've-
But yeah, it's been really good. Like I've only broken my arm once so far.
You are so selling this. I was gonna like,
Yeah. I'll get into it. Oh, he broke his arm. Oh, he's fine now.
yeah, you know, those things
It's
heal
fine.
usually. Most of the
I
time.
got real lucky with that. Like, yeah, it should have been a lot worse than it was, but yeah, it was fine.
15-ish years ago, I broke my arm and I tore my ACL.
Ooh.
Broke my arm right by the elbow, and
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, what do we do? And they're like, nah, nothing, it'll heal. At the time, right, Annie? Only
Doesn't work
once.
like that, does it? Yeah.
So at the time that my doctor was like, oh, it'll heal. I was in a half cast, and like I could barely like open and move my hand, much less like my arm. So and then he says like, he's like, it'll heal, it'll be fine, but you probably never straighten your arm again. And I'm stuck like this at the time, and I'm like, what? Like, yeah. Now, and it's true. I don't know how much you can
It's
see it on
pretty
the
good. It's
camera.
close.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's only like a few degrees that I can't actually straighten it. The only time I ever
Yeah.
really notice is if I'm like doing bench press or like something overhead.
Mm,
I can't like quite lock out this like elbow, and it doesn't
yeah,
like.
that'll be tough.
But that's it's not nearly the big deal that I thought it would be when he first told me you're never going to straighten it, when it was at the time it was stuck like this.
Yeah, right. That's scary.
Apparently Bo used to do bouldering back in the day.
Hey, there you go. Nice. That's awesome.
Rob asked what first caught your interest with bouldering. That's a fun question. What
I
made you
think it
first
is.
go like, I'm going to climb stuff that I don't need to?
Yeah, so the ADHD, I'd say, is the main thing. I like climbing stuff, as it turns out. As do a lot of other people with ADHD. Like at the gym, yeah, like it'll just come up. Most of us, have it. So it's fun to find my people.
That's nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're also, like that's good. You get outside a little bit with that, but then you get back inside with some of your other hobbies. You're into gaming and you're into Warhammer 40K, right? We
That's
talked
it.
a
Yeah.
little bit about some of your minis back there. What army are you? And also, bonus question: how much would you love to play 40K with Henry Cavill?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't think you need to ask that question. We all know we all want to. I'd thrash him though. Custodes aren't. His army isn't like rules wise. His army's rules aren't that great at the moment. So not only would I play with him, I'd beat him.
You'd beat Superman?
Yeah, I'd have the bat suit. No, I haven't seen Superman versus Batman. I don't know how it works. Anyway,
funny.
So army wise, I collect a lot of Space Marines. I've got for anyone that knows, they'll know that saying I have 10,000 points of Space Marines is a lot. In fact, probably too much.
Wow.
I've also started one of the new armies they've just put out called the Leagues of Votan, which are basically like space dwarf capitalists. Hang on, one of them I'm working on. So I've painted them to be really rusty and kind of
Cool.
Salvaged and scrap metal there
Those
too.
are
So yeah, just using a lot of textures on those too. So that's like something I'm half done with at the moment.
You said those are space dwarfs?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I think in the lore, they're all like clones that have been spat out of a big sentient AI or something. I don't know. I need to read up on it again. But yeah, it's not quite just dwarves in space, which some people were disappointed by, but I really like it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the game or played Deep Rock Galactic?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In the subreddits for this army, it's just all about yelling rock and stone. So yeah,
Rock
definitely.
and stone.
Rock and stone.
I call it, when I play with my friends, I call it Space Moria.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Wow, that's a fun
so
game.
Good.
Hashtag sponsor me. Just kidding. That game was fun.
Yeah, nice.
Rob asked, do you just do 40K or do you play a bit of Sigmar?
Yeah, just 40K. I haven't really found any charm into Sigmar models. And again, like every time I look at it, I'm just like, I don't really need to start another army, do I? I don't. It's a lot of money. But yeah, and then I do it anyway in 40K, so that's on me.
That's on me. That's fun. Okay, so 40K sounds cool, but I always find it intimidating. But because it's just like such an investment, and then like it's just, I don't know. But you're also into gaming. What are some of your favorite games? Oh, wait, I know some of your favorite. Tell me some of your favorite games.
So yeah, look, I love a good open world thing where they just go, here's a gun, go, I don't know, figure it out. So when Starfield came out, I got really into that, and then I just had a moment where I went, this is only okay, and then stopped playing it. But actual favorite games, I'll always sink a lot of time into Fallout 76, despite the rocky launch it had. The Stalker series is probably like my all-time kind of like big favorite. That's actually kind of where a lot of the inspiration for some of the stuff in the Draftlands comes from. And then like my first like game that I really played the heck out of was Red Alert 2, which we've been talking about earlier, but it is the pinnacle of real-time strategy games. Like you cannot tell me anything else is better. I'll die on this hill. It's the best game.
Okay.
I'm happy to say that.
All right. I mean, I'll disagree, but that's
Controversial.
fine. That's fine. That's good. That's good times. Yeah, so did you play other real-time strategy games? Those are one of my main jams. Are the real-time strategy. Although also like, I cannot tell you the number of hours I have sunk into the Civilization series, especially Civ 6 lately. Yeah,
I've heard stories. I've never played it myself, but I'm scared I'd get addicted.
Yeah, don't do it. It's
it's fair enough.
You have a life. You have a wife now. You have books to write. Don't do it. Don't do it. You'll be like, just one more turn, and then it'll be the next day at 4 a.m. and you'll be like, what happened?
Oh
god. But yeah, other real-time strategy games you've played?
Like the Dawn of War series, like that's kind of was my first introduction to Warhammer as well. Like I've tried playing some of the recent ones as well, but my computer's just a laptop. It's not really up for playing them, so I've been trying to play them on my Xbox. I tried to play Iron Harvest because very cool aesthetic, but yeah, like real-time strategy games, they just don't work so great on a Xbox controller, do they?
No, they really don't. They really don't. Yeah. Well, because we're talking about video games, I have to also mention when it comes to real-time strategy games, Rob J. Hayes, you know nothing. He knows. So fun. Well, we were hinting at something. Bo asked, "Do you have to paint your figures?"
Yeah, that's part of the thing. So with Warhammer, you get the kits as like these all these bits of plastic on sprue. You got to clip them out, glue them together yourself, and then paint them. So, like honestly, that's where I spend a lot of the time for Warhammer. I'd say like, each model will take like half an hour to an hour, and when you're fielding an army of like 40 or 50 models, that's a hell of a time commit just to kind of get stuff on the table to play with. But obviously you can play with unpainted stuff, but I'm not that kind of guy. I gotta have
Who does that? Nobody does that, right?
Degenerates.
Well said.
Yeah.
So we were hinting at something a little bit earlier, Jonathan, that we said we'd save for later on. You want to go ahead and tell the crowd what secrets you have in store?
Yeah, so we did use the word giveaway, and we have used the word break-ins a lot. So the break-ins are actually doing a huge giveaway starting on the 22nd of February to the 29th. It's, a little thing to celebrate the leap year. There's an extra day in the year. Let's get you some extra books, right? So we are going to have 9 whole books up for grabs for one lucky reader. And then there's going to be runner-up prizes where you can get set where, 3 people get a set of 3 of them as well. So, even if you don't win, you're still going to hopefully get something. But even if you don't win that, you're still going to get the really awesome prize of being signed up to all our mailing lists, which is the requirement to enter. And so you'll hear from all 9 of us at least once a month, which reminds me, I still need to post out my newsletter. I have not done that. I'm procrastinating. So sign up now and you can get it. But yeah, like I'm just trying to find the exact list of everything that's on there. If I can just give me a second, or do you have it already up there, Nick?
Not yet, but I'll grab it. Just a second. So yeah. Gonna be 9 of the break-ins that already have books ready to go. Sadly, not me, but that's okay. So
we'll get there. We'll have you soon.
And
did I mention they're all paperbacks or physical copies? So that's even better. That's why it's a special giveaway. If it was ebooks, it wouldn't. It's still fun, but getting the actual things, that's awesome.
Yep. So one lucky winner is going to take home 9 different books. It's going to be The Rest of the Gods by Joshua Walker, Spark of the Divine by Louise Holland, Pathlighter by Rob Lee. Also, The Elements of Time by Sam Paisley, The Forsaken Planet by Brian Wilson, Molten Flux by our lovely guest here tonight. And then Elegy of the Fragmented Vineyard by Caden Love, Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson, and Isla's Reach by Francisca Liliana. Quite the set. So that's one lucky winner is going to get all 9 of those. And then 3 runners up are going to get 3 books. We've got kind of them separated into 3 different packages. So, so 3 different runners up are going to get 3 different books and getting all paperbacks. Actual physical books you can have and hold.
Yeah, put them on your shelf. Take really pretty pictures for Instagram. I think that's one of the things that I've found hardest about being an independent author. I don't have a pretty shelf to take pictures of, so I'm still working on that bit. But anyway, you can beautify your shelf as well.
So, great question, Bo. My understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, Jonathan, but I think the answer is no, because there's, it's pretty cool, but this is a downside to having the Break-ins be an international, not so secret society. It's very expensive to ship signed books from Australia,
from Australia,
Scotland,
for just
Canada,
one book,
and the
it'll
US,
be like
and
$60
Ecuador.
at least.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, ridiculously high priced.
Unfortunately, they're not going to be signed. We'd love to be able to do signed, but we're kind of talking about.
I can teach you how to do my signature, and then you can forge it, and then you can not use it for anything else irresponsible.
You heard it here first, everyone.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that committed to the bit. One day, if I am internationally famous and I do come to a signing, you can bring it in and I'll do something special for it. But until then, yeah, you're just going to have to imagine it there.
Right. Shout out to Isla's Reach. Love it. Happy to support fellow break-ins. Ryan says, do you have a secret break-ins competition going? We do not yet. I did think, I don't know, tell me, Jonathan, I think it would be fun. There was this thing many, many years ago where there was like this blog competition with different authors, and they would pit like characters in like a Thunderdome. And then the blog writers like wrote the scenario, but sometimes the authors would come in and like write like, no, that's not how it would go. It would go like this, right? But I think it'd be fun to have, I don't know, maybe characters from Sam Paisley's story like fight your giant walking fortress, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
We need a March Madness.
We need to have the
Final
crossover
bracket.
Events.
Yes. Crossover events and a big bracket, and have like a break-ins winner, the master of the Thunderdome. I think it'd be good times. Who wouldn't want to read that? We'll have to do it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
digital signature. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think about that. Yeah, we've definitely talked about book plates, and like I think that honestly, I'd be surprised if by the end of the year we haven't figured out something to kind of help each other out with like international shipping of signed editions. I've talked with Adrian about trying to kind of do some of that for him. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah. What are the questions you guys got? What do I, been talking.
Yeah, hit us up. Ask me anything, or almost anything. Don't ask me how to defuse a bomb or something. If you need that kind of help, call someone else.
How many different book ideas or different series ideas do you have, Jonathan? Obviously, you're working on 2 series right now. They're on the same universe. What comes next once you finish the Flux Catastrophe? Will you just finish the other series, or are you going to be like, no, I'm going to be more of a mad lad and start like a 3rd series before I finish the 2nd? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to be an absolute mad lad. I was going to start a 3rd series and then a 4th series before I finish the Hytera books. So I've got the Hytera books planned out as a series of 5, and then I was going to start a 3rd series after book 3 set in the same world. Then after book 4, I was going to start another series also set in the same world at different points in time. I'm not going to say which ones, but I'm just going to say it's going to be very interesting for me to actually plot out the way it's going to go without either spoiling everything or being too unrelated. Yeah, I'm biting off more than I can chew. I'll just leave it at that.
That's good. I mean, we got to challenge ourselves, right?
Definitely.
Very fun. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Jonathan. Where can people find and follow you online?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at JonathanW_author. You can also find me on me turning off my phone alarm. You can find my website at www.jonathanweiss.com.au. I wish I could have just gotten the .com address, but that was already taken, so that's a bit sad. And from there, you can sign up to my newsletter. You'll hear from me once a month. I'll be sending through, promotions, deals, and stuff. And you also get the ebook of Rising Flux for free through there as well. So definitely do that.
Go get a free book, everyone. Go to the website.
And yes, to answer Bo, I still haven't thought about a Twitter debut. I took my account off it when things got a bit haywire over there for one reason or another. I'm still thinking about getting back on, but yeah, I don't know. I'm already at my wit's end trying to coordinate them all, right?
Yeah, I get it.
So
I'll tell you, Twitter is book Twitter is nice. Book Twitter is
nice. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
that
used to be kind of in a political Twitter, and that's not a fun place,
I mean, it probably wasn't a fun place before everything went crazy, right?
It's never. No, it hasn't. No. But book Twitter is nice.
Yeah, nice. Cool. Yeah, well, I'll get there eventually.
So everyone, get yourselves on book Twitter. Go follow your favorite authors, and also go get on Jonathan's newsletter. Get yourself a free book. What are you waiting for? Go do it.
Yeah.
Jonathan, been an absolute blast talking with you. I appreciate it, buddy. I'm looking forward to reading the books, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me as well. It's been a great time.
Absolutely. No, my pleasure. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And we're going to close it out for the night. But again, if no one's told you yet today, you're an absolute legend.
Definitely.